Well, it's unofficially official. The Giants are open to moving a good amount of players. Which players are on the reported list? Which players are not? That's all coming up on Locked On Giants.
You are Locked On Giants, your daily San Francisco Giants podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to Locked On Giants, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. My name is Alan Stiles, talking about your San Francisco Giants every day, Monday through Friday. And today we have a fully loaded show like a baked potato. First, we'll start off with the Giants being issued a warning. We will get into what happened on Friday night and some of the repercussions to come out of it. The Giants, multiple reports that they are open to moving certain players, which isn't incredibly surprising, but the names that are and aren't on the list may surprise you a little bit. We have a Braves preview as the Giants are getting ready to take on one of the best teams in Major League Baseball and first place in the NL East. And last but not least, we have the top 10 players over the last 10 years, over the last decade for your San Francisco Giants. This is a list that I made to celebrate 10 years of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you so much for being with us throughout these 10 years, and we have another great 10 years and more to come. So let's start with the Giants being issued a warning. This came out yesterday, and this is from Steve Berman of The Athletic. MLB issues warning to Giants pitchers who wrote Bible verses on Pride Night caps. After 3 San Francisco Giants pitchers appeared in Friday's game with Bible verses written on their Pride Night caps, Major League Baseball issued a warning that similar behavior will not be tolerated. But in an expanded statement on the matter, the league emphasized that it wasn't policing the specifics of what the players wrote. Here is the quote. To be clear, this routine verbal warning not to wear the hat in future games is not disciplinary and had absolutely nothing to do with the content of the message, the league said. In a follow, we respect players' right to free expression. However, writing of any kind with any message is prohibited per Major League Baseball's uniform regulations, which provides in part that a player may not write, attach, affix, embroider, or otherwise display nicknames or messages on apparel or playing equipment. And then they even go on to specify it even further. We have given the same warning numerous times in the past of players for messages such as Dad, Happy Mother's Day, I love you, Mom, and names of family members. On Monday, they said the writing on the cap violates our rules and consistent with normal practice. We have warned the players about future violations. So I don't think I need to go into the specifics of what exactly happened on Friday. I'm sure most of you are aware, but long story short, the Giants were celebrating Pride Night. Landon Roop and a couple other pitchers, they wrote Bible verses on their hats, and obviously the hats had the Pride Night. They were Pride Night hats that had the rainbow on it and things like that. So not getting into, I guess, a lot of the specifics and details. And I saw people in the comments yesterday, hey, Alan, you didn't kind of speak on this. And I was waiting to see what else happened because I knew Major League Baseball was probably going to issue a warning or do something like this. So I just wanted to make sure that all the dust was settled. And look, this is really the main thing that I have on this conversation. From an organization standpoint, I don't understand how something like this happens. And what do I mean by that? Well, sports, they're great for a lot of different reasons, right? You meet a lot of people from a lot of different walks of life, and you get to spend time with people that you maybe never would have met outside of sports or whatever the case is. With that being said, I played baseball for a decent amount of time, and I can tell you this much. There are probably a good amount of players in Major League Baseball that feel the same way that Landon Roop and Ryan Walker and JT Brubaker, that feels the same way that those guys feel, right? So knowing that and understanding that, I know that we heard, a couple things from Blake Trinan of the Dodgers in the past, but knowing that and understanding that, which I really don't think it's that big of a secret, right? why are the Giants the ones making national news? We all know that it is Pride Month, right? We all know how a lot of people feel on both sides of it. Why are the Giants the ones finding themselves in this situation? So I looked and I looked and I tried to see, well, what did Tony Vitello have to say about it? Because Landon Root pretty much brought up that conversations were had in the locker room, in the clubhouse. So what did Tony Vitello had to say about it? Tony Vitello, he was asked what, was anything discussed prior to the game? And Tony Vitello says this, not really. I mean, just kind of general knowledge of the individuals have the freedom to do what they think is best. But I do think it's been apparent from day one. Actually, even some of the exhibition games is pretty impressive how the Giants as an organization try and embrace the entire community. We don't want to be divided, but you can divide it up into certain sections, if you know what I mean. No, to be honest, Tony, I don't really know what you mean. And there's a pretty good trade-off. I mean, obviously the success hasn't been what I want it to be, but even I feel it. The way they give back and embrace the team is different. The crowds are bigger in numbers. There's a unique vibe to each night when there's a community recognized. So the back and forth there is good. And as always, even if our record was 20 games better than it was, you always want to give back more. So that is kind of a famous Tony Vitello word salad, right? We still don't know. He's saying not really, but we did say you do what you think is best. So kind of sounds like he may have known that they were going to do this. And again, when you have somebody in a situation like Tony Vitello, maybe he wasn't sure what the repercussions would be. Obviously, it's just a warning. Obviously, this always is going to be a bigger deal when a team isn't good. But my biggest takeaway is I would bet good money that every team in Major League Baseball has at least a couple players that feel the way that Landon Root feels, right? So why is it the Giants finding themselves in this position? They should have had some type of conversation, and maybe they did, and they decided, hey, we're just going to do this, and you guys can do what you want. Maybe that's possible. But I would have hoped that in that situation, they could have made a decision as a team. You don't want to wear the hats, don't wear the hats. If one person's not going to wear the hat, or if one person is going to write something on the hat, then maybe we shouldn't just wear the hats, right? Or, hey, maybe you can say something after instead of writing on the hat, and you can use that as your platform. A lot of people do that. It just feels like more than anything else, this is another indictment on the Giants and the cohesion in that locker room or in that clubhouse, or honestly in that organization. The Giants are the only team with this being brought up. And I know that they are not the only team with players on the team that feel the same way as Landon Root. So why are they the only team where this is coming up? Maybe this is the decision that they made. Maybe they said, hey, you guys are going to do, hey, we're going to wear the hats, but if you want to do something, do it, and we'll deal with it that way. Maybe that's the decision that they came to. I just feel like when you aren't, specifically when you aren't a good team, the last thing you want is more eyes on you. This is the same team with the thrusting in the outfield and all the other things that have happened throughout the season. The last thing you want is to continue to make headlines for things outside of baseball. So that's kind of my take on it. It just felt like if there wasn't a conversation, there should have been. And if there was a conversation, I don't know why they thought this way of going about it was the best way. Look, maybe that's just there was a back and forth. I don't know. Tony is saying they didn't really have a conversation. So they didn't really know what was going to be expected, what wasn't going to be expected. So I just feel like it was a miss because clearly there are a lot of people that have conversations within Major League Baseball that feel certain ways, right? So why is it the Giants are the only ones? And maybe some out there feel, hey, they're starting something or they are standing up for what they believe in. But I would just say this is not the first Pride Month for Major League Baseball. And I'm sure that other players have protested in other ways. I know there's always something every single season. It just felt like there could have been a cleaner way to do it without the Giants now. Like Tony Vitello having to answer questions about this, I would imagine that's probably something that he doesn't want to do, right? He'd rather just answer questions about baseball. And on top of that, you're just going to be low hanging fruit when you're not a good baseball team. And I know it shouldn't matter. Something like this, where you're at in the standings, shouldn't matter, but it does. And it just kind of will stack on to everything else. For me, I would just say when you're already dealing with a lot, maybe they could have came to a different decision as to how they want to go about it. And I might be giving them too much credit, assuming that they even had that conversation. So I do think that this might not look that good for someone like Tony Vitello, simply because he is still new, in the league. So I'm just not sure if you're going to say you didn't have a conversation or not really, and now you're having to deal with more questions and comments and concerns on all this and all these articles that are coming out. Yeah, feels like maybe they could have just went about it a different way. That's not to say that the way that Landon Roop and others chose to protest was wrong. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying when other entities are going to feel that blowback, then maybe it could have been discussed in a deeper way to say, hey, what's going to come from this? Because it doesn't feel like a convo was had. It feels like guys that did not agree with the idea of Pride Night, it feels like they decided we're going to do this. And the way I feel about things is you should just do things as a team, right? You can not wear them as a team. You can wear them as a team and then say, hey, I'm going to say something after, which I'm sure they wouldn't have been alone in saying something after, but the way they went about it kind of individualized it. And now it's kind of broken off into, okay, 3 guys got a warning, and now Tony has to answer those questions. So yeah, like I said, I'm not saying, I'm not giving an opinion on what Landon Roop and others did. Just from an organization standpoint, it felt like they could have done something more as a unit to make things less convoluted and easier for themselves. That's what I would say, especially in a season that isn't really going well for them. Let's get to the other side as the Giants are open to moving numerous players. That's right. And we have a bit of a Braves preview. They're pretty good. They're pretty darn good. More Locked On Giants coming up. Being able to send someone money instantly, it's one of those things that's become so normal that you forget how much easier it makes everyday life. If you weren't up to speed already, Cash App is way more than just a safe way to send and receive money. With the Cash App card, you unlock a ton of perks without all the hidden fees. Enjoy benefits like exclusive early access to nationwide concert pre-sales like Kendrick Lamar, Sabrina Carpenter, and more, just to name a couple, plus discounts on everyday purchases and popular brands you're probably already spending money on. Add your card to your digital wallet to make your money move even faster and easier. Cash App also adds security to your money by declining suspicious card transactions and sending you a notification to make sure the payment is really you. If your card is ever lost or stolen, you can lock it with just one tap right in the app. Spend with confidence with the Cash App card today. New Cash App customers can earn $10 if they use code CASHAPP10 in their profile at sign up and send $5 to a friend within 14 days. Terms apply. Workplace chaos can show up fast. The problem is that finding the right candidate can take a lot more time than most businesses can afford. That's where Indeed Sponsored Jobs comes in. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you reach candidates who actually fit what you're looking for based on skills, experience, and location. Finding the right person can make all the difference, whether it's building a business or building a winning team. Just like when the Knicks added Mikal Bridges, everyone said it was too many picks. They knew exactly what they were doing. One great addition can have a ripple effect on everyone around them. When you find someone who brings the right skills, attitude, and experience, it makes the entire group better. That's why finding qualified candidates matters so much, and why tools like Indeed Sponsored Jobs can help make that process even easier. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. Next segment with you, and the Giants, surprise, surprise, open to moving numerous players. Okay, this is from Buster Olney. The Giants are open to offers for their 3 highest paid position players, Rafael Devers, Willy Adames, Matt Chapman, among other obvious trade candidates like Luis Ariz and Robbie Ray. And by the way, Ken Rosenthal also had an article where he said the Giants have no plans to part with Logan Webb. So none of this is really surprising. Funny enough, based on Matt Chapman playing well, now a lot of people are saying, oh, well, Matt Chapman might be the one that the Giants are able to move. They would still have to pay down some of his contract. A lot of people seem to, I guess, disagree with me a little bit, where they don't believe that Devers is movable. And probably because he's not playing well on top of his crazy contract. I always thought that Devers was the most movable of the 3 simply because of his pedigree and simply because he's done the most, right? Or he has the highest ceiling. But a lot of people feel like at least this go round, it's not going to be Devers because nobody's going to sign up for a guy on a contract like that that's not playing up to the contract or even close to it. So now it feels like Matt Chapman might be the one to move, if any of them. Now, reality sets in. Looks like none of them are going to move, or more than likely, none of them are going to move. But if one of them does move, it would probably be, or it looks like it could be Matt Chapman just from a hot month. And I know yesterday I just said, I don't think so. But here's the kicker. The Giants would have to pay down some of that contract. It would not be a situation where, oh, yeah, we're not going to get any prospects back, but you're going to take on the deal. No, the Giants would have to take on some of that contract, and that would, I guess, accelerate the process, and maybe a team would be more likely to sign up for that. So that is something that's come up recently. And the Logan Webb thing, we'll want to revisit it tomorrow when we have more time. But yeah, the reality is, and funny enough, Logan Webb is almost connected in a way to the big contracts, because if you're able to move some of the big contracts, you're almost more likely to move Logan Webb because you could start a rebuild. If you can't move the big contracts, then you might as well hold on to Logan Webb because you're stuck trying to contend anyway. So what's the point of moving Logan Webb? So it's funny because if you can move some of those contracts, you're more likely to move Logan Webb. But if you can't, then you're probably just going to hold on to him because you're going to still be, quote unquote, going for it based on who the roster has on it. So those are some of the notes that came out when it comes to the Giants and what is around the corner as the trade deadline gets closer and closer. I did want to get into a Braves preview here, and the Braves are really good. Okay, that's one way to put it, and that's the easiest way to put it. The Braves are 46-25. That feels like it's the exact opposite of the Giants' record. They're 46-25. They're first in the NL East. They're 5th in the league in home runs. They're 5th in batting average. They are 5th in OPS. They are 3rd in RBIs. But it doesn't just stop there. They're 1st in ERA in the league with a 3.29. They're 2nd in opponent's batting average, and they're 2nd in WHIP. We're gonna learn some things about the Giants. This could get ugly out there in hot Atlanta. This could get very, very ugly, but you never know. And the Giants, we've seen it against the Dodgers. We've seen it against the back half of the Brewers. The Giants can turn up at times and play to the level of their competition, which is a good thing when they're playing good teams, but also a bad thing when they're playing not so good teams. So we'll see what happens. I'm excited to see how the Giants stack up. I mean, and I would say I'm excited to see where Bryce Eldridge kind of stacks up as they take on a really, really good Braves team. So that's coming up as well. One more segment with you to celebrate Locked On's 10th anniversary. 10 years of Locked On Podcast Network. I've come up with my top 10 players for the Giants over the last 10 years. Some of the names might surprise you because it was not even 10 years ago. And going through this exercise, that was probably the funniest part of it all. More Locked On Giants coming up. The NHL finals just ended, but throughout all of them, every shift mattered, every moment was intense, and everything came down to execution when the pressure was at its highest. And just like athletes must be ready to perform when the puck drops, a lot of guys want that same sense of readiness and confidence in their own lives too. That's where Rougiet comes in. Rougiet offers modern performance-focused treatments designed to help you be ready when it matters the most. Their top option, Rougiet Ready, is a fast-acting, clinically formulated treatment that comes in a simple mint that dissolves under your tongue. It's designed for convenience with fast absorption and effects that can begin in about 15 minutes and may last up to 36 hours. They also offer Go Long, which is formulated to support both performance and control for longer lasting needs. It's all about helping guys feel prepared, confident, and in control. In the playoffs, readiness isn't optional. It's everything. And for a lot of guys, that idea of being ready at the right moment carries over into everyday life too. That's exactly what Rougiet is built around. I think most guys just want something that fits into their life without a lot of hassle. The idea of a small mint that dissolves and gets to work quickly makes it feel way more straightforward. Head to Rougiet.com/LockedOnNHL and get 15% off your ED treatment. That's RUGIET.com/LockedOnNHL for 15% off. Rougiet, performance medicine for men. Get your daily Giants coverage completely ad-free by joining the Everydayer Club today. Start your 7-day free trial right now and get closer to your team without the interruptions. Click the link in the show notes or go to LockedOnSFGiants@Supercast.com to claim your free trial. Last segment with you, and I had a lot of fun doing this exercise to celebrate Locked On 10 years of Locked On Podcast Network. And I had a lot of fun doing this because right now the Giants aren't very fun. So it was funny to go back and look at the different players and realize that we are not too far removed from the greats. So the toughest thing about making this list was certain players that I guess fit into the list, but maybe weren't at their best at that time. So it wasn't perfect. So for example, let's kick it off with Pablo Sandoval, who was on my honorable mention, because that 10-year span when he came back after Boston, yeah, he's Pablo Sandoval, but he wasn't the Panda the way we remember the Panda. So Pablo is not on my list because within the last decade, that Pablo wasn't the Pablo that we remember from the championship years. So he did not make the list. He was honorable mention. I threw Joe Panic on honorable mention as well. Let's get into my top 10. Coming in at number 10, we have one of the more fascinating acquisitions. Didn't really get to see a ton of success with this guy, but I'm going to go Johnny Cueto. Johnny Cueto came in. The Giants added him. He had his moments. I think his ERA was, he had a winning record. I think his ERA was in the threes somewhere, but obviously the Giants, they haven't won a championship in 10 years. So there's no way Johnny Cueto would have been a part of it. Yeah. Johnny Cueto had his moments for me. He's going to be number 10. Number 9 on this list. And let me tell you, I never thought that I would put this guy on the list, but the last couple seasons, specifically 2021, and even after that, he showed a lot and just how much he loved the Giants. I'm going to go Wilmer Flores at number 9 on my top 10 Giants players over the last 10 years, over the last decade. Number 8, this one is painful. This one is very painful for me because he should still be a Giant. And he wanted to be a Giant, and it did not work out that way. Number 8, I'm going Kevin Gausman. Kevin Gausman wanted to stay in San Francisco, and the Giants just didn't want to pay, and it's unfortunate that it ended that way. Number 7, as now we're starting to get in to some of the legacy players, and okay, how good were they at this point or that point? Look, you put these names on this list. When I look at who was on the team within a decade ago, and there's no way I'm not going to put them towards the top. So let's start at number 7, Brandon Belt. That's right. Brandon Belt, before he went out to Toronto, Brandon Belt was, of course, on the Giants. And again, a tough one to leave off based on where he was or wasn't at that point in his career. But Brandon Belt is always going to get on a list like this. So number 7, I have Brandon Belt. Number 6, someone who I spoke with about a month ago. Great guy, loves his scooter. One of the biggest acquisitions that the Giants have made in a long, long time. Well, I would say probably one of the biggest ones off the top of my head before the Rafael Devers trade. Hunter Pence. Hunter Pence coming in at number 6. Number 5 on the list. Yeah, let's get to that bad man, Matt Cain. Matt Cain is number 5. Now, I know what you're thinking, because I'm thinking the same thing. And I'm literally triple checking, even though I checked it before we even did all this, that these guys were on the team a decade ago. And yes, that is very true. Matt Cain, he was on the Giants until 2017. So barely sneaking in there, right? But Matt Cain was on the Giants 10 years ago. I know it does not feel like that. Number 4, another guy, it probably doesn't feel like that either, Madison Bumgarner. Madison Bumgarner was on the Giants until 2019. So another guy where you take who he was, I guess, towards the end of his tenure versus who he was at the height, and that does fall outside the top 10 or 10 years ago. There's no way I'm not putting Madison Bumgarner at the top of that list. Okay, I'm just not doing it. And Hunter Pence, yeah, he had played until 2018 and then left and came back in 2020. So a lot of these guys right there, but because of what they did, the legacy, you got to put them on the list. Number 3, yeah, this ending should have been better. It should have been better. And we kind of got robbed of, how things should have ended for this hometown guy. Give me Brandon Crawford. Give me Brandon Crawford on the list. Brandon Crawford played with the Giants until 2023. And again, the ending was not storybook, was not fairy tale, and it should have been better. Number 3. Number 2, some of you may say that he is way too high on this list, but I did want to weigh what they've done recently for the Giants. I wanted to weigh that as well. Number 2, give me Logan Webb, another somewhat local kid who is playing for the Giants. All this talk about trading Logan Webb. Let's take a break from that. Logan Webb, number 2 on my top 10 Giants over the last 10 years. And coming in at number 1, this guy has been through a lot. Now, he asked for it. Nobody said that he had to become the president of baseball operations, but this goes to show that I can compartmentalize, and Buster Posey definitely deserves to be on this list, and he's number 1 for me. Of course, Buster Posey played on the Giants until 2021. All those All-Stars, all those championships. Buster Posey is my number 1 player. My number 1 player, top 10 Giants over the last 10 years to celebrate Locked On's 10 years, their anniversary. Thank you so much for being a part of it and for supporting Locked On, all the DMs, all the comments that I get. I really do appreciate it. And we're just getting started. So thank you so much. And thank you for listening to today's show, Locked On Giants. Be sure to follow me on social media at @the_Styles Files, Styles with an I. If you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Get Locked On Giants ad-free, plus members-only Discord access and more. Head to Locked On sfgiants at supercast.com to join the club. For those of you on video, we send you to the first ever 24/7 National Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. On audio, make sure you make your second listen Locked On MLB. We will talk to you tomorrow. Until then, peace.